love that it would just happen for me. I would meet someone and just start hitting all those adult landmarks. Love, relationship, wedding, house, kids, couples counseling. But when I met Adam, I was 34 years old and at the end of a long, long dry spell. At the time, I was living in the last cheap English basement apartment in Mount Pleasant. I had just discovered online dating, and I was so relieved. I felt like the internet was the boyfriend catalog that I had saved for. And I was gonna try on every last make and model until I found one that fit. I was going on 2 or 3 first dates a week. I had a dedicated first date outfit, dress, leggings, boots, scarf, and a dedicated first date spot, the Tonic on Mount Pleasant Street. So I was right by my house. Thank you. Yeah. So if things were really great, we were right by my house. But if things were really terrible, at least I was right by my house. But Adam, overachiever that he was, actually planned our first date, and it lasted 8 hours, which is a crazy long time, especially when you consider that he was wearing a Cosby sweater and had a comb over. We had just left the Phillips collection. And gone to Kramer Books to have a drink. And I was still trying to figure out if I liked him, let alone whether or not he liked me, when out of nowhere, he reached across the table and took my hand, and all of a sudden, I felt like I was holding onto a live electrical wire. My arm was tingling so hard that I lost the power of speech, and my heart was like skittering around inside my chest, and when I looked across the table at him, I swear I heard a choir of angels singing in the distance. I couldn't see the Cosby sweater or the comb over anymore through a haze of pure desire. And from that moment on, I was a goner. Every little thing, like kissing him goodbye at Metro in the morning or getting a sweet text during the day, made me absolutely weak need. Once, I left my wallet in his car, and he made a ransom note out of words cut out of magazines and sent me a picture of it. I thought it was the cutest thing that had ever happened in human history. For the first time in a decade, I had Valentine's Day plans. Dinner, flowers, the whole nine. I'm sure some of you can appreciate that. Once when I was cooking dinner, he was putting a poster frame together for me. As I stirred the pot and he knelt on the floor, putting everything together, I actually got a little bit overcome with emotion, and I had to stop what I was doing, and I walked over to him and put my hand on his shoulder and said, "You know what? I think this is the most erotic thing I have ever seen." He just smelled so good to me all the time, you know? We had so much in common. We're just the same age, so we both like the same 90s music. We both love bad puns and nerdy humor. We even took the same antidepressant. Now, they say that in every relationship there's a gardener and a flower, and Adam was definitely a forlorn little flower when I met him. And I just wanted to shower him with my love until he bloomed. I wanted to get my hands all up in his dirt, fluff it. I'm definitely a fixer, and I know fixers get a bad rap, but I didn't want to fix Adam because I thought there was something wrong with him. I actually thought he was pretty perfect. I wanted to fix him because he was unhappy, and I thought that my love could help make him happy. For instance, he had this terrible apartment out in Alexandria with nothing on the walls, so I bought him science nerd art to hang up. He had that comb over, so I talked a lot about how hot I think bald guys are until he shaved it. That thing was a crime against humanity. He had been wearing the same glasses for 10 years, so I helped him pick out a new hipster pair, and on and on and on, and this list does not even encompass the very, very nice and life-affirming things I did for him in bed. And on that score, at least, he was properly appreciative because, you see, Adam was recently divorced after a year's separation from the woman he had been with since the first day of his freshman year of college. Right. And in all that time, I was his first date, really kind of his first date ever. And instead of running the other way when I heard that, like a sane person would, I thought, jackpot! No one else even knows this guy is out there. And as soon as I heal him up, I'm gonna marry him. You guys, I want you to really hear me when I say this because it's not something I say lightly. I would have moved to Alexandria to be with him. And I don't even mean Old Town, I mean like Kingstown, outside. If that's not love, I don't know what is, alright? But I never asked. It turns out asking wasn't really Adam's thing. Take, for example, the time that I spent months and months helping him study for the bar, every night and every weekend. And when he finally passed, I bought him a present and took him out for a fancy steak dinner. And on the day of his swearing-in ceremony, I asked him if he wanted me to come, but he said, oh, you know, it's not really the kind of thing that people attend. Fair enough. A week later, we're having one of our regular conversations about reasons Adam feels sad, and he said, well, you know, it really hurt my feelings that my sister didn't come to my swearing-in ceremony for the bar. I mean, my parents came and that was nice, but she really should have come too. And I was fucking enraged. Are you kidding me? Did you really forget that you lied to me about this last week as I was pinning the monogram gold tie pin I bought you onto your ungrateful ass? Seriously? But I stuffed that rage down. Indeed, I comforted him, because gardeners do not scream at their flowers. They just add a little more water and fluff the dirt a little more and wait for those blooms to come. I thought that these little tests were just bumps in the road, and if I could be patient and accepting enough, I could pass the test and win the prize. I thought that if I could love him enough, he would eventually see what was so obvious to me, which is that we belong together. I thought that there was no way the universe would make me wait this long for someone who was smart and sexy and weird in all the same ways that I'm weird, and then not let me keep it. But I knew I couldn't wait forever, and that it was up to me to make a bold move. I was going to say the thing that needed to be said after nearly 2 years together. I had been saying it inside my head for so long, it had been bubbling up inside me for so many months that saying it out loud was a relief, like confessing your sins to a priest. I took his face between my hands and kissed him. Happy birthday, baby, I said. I love you. And he leaned his forehead against mine and kissed me back and said, aw, thank you. That night, I dreamt that I had a giant, anatomically correct heart tattooed on my chest, and that it was so big and red and glistening that I could not hide it, no matter what I wore or what I did. And I woke up in tears. Now, as a creative person, I was a little bit disappointed that my subconscious was so very literal. But the message was pretty clear. You know, in all the time that we were together, we never fought. I'm not a fighter, and so when things got rocky, I would just redouble my efforts to be lovable and to make him feel loved. I always believed that if I could just find the right combination of lingerie, homemade beef stew, blowjobs, and giving him space, I could find a way to make all the pieces come together. And the ultimate puzzle would be revealed, undeniable. But the day after our I love you, I thank you conversation, he broke up with me. Yeah. He said he had really, really tried really hard to love me, but he just couldn't. You know, like I was a Billy bookcase from IKEA that he had tried to put together but had to toss because he couldn't find the right size Allen wrench. You know, as adults, we're not supposed to really dwell on the end of relationships. Old lovers and those whole worlds you create together are just supposed to kind of fade out until no one mentions them anymore. But losing Adam made me remember why I don't fall in love very often, because it is so exquisitely painful when you fall hard and it goes wrong. I felt like I couldn't take a deep breath for months after he left me. My heart felt like it had been ripped out by the roots, and my ribcage just ached all the time. In fact, it was about a year before I really started feeling like myself again. I had just started thinking about buying a house and leaving my beloved little apartment in Mount P, and maybe even like going on a date again, when, out of the blue, one beautiful spring day, I get a notification from LinkedIn that I have a message from Adam. LinkedIn. Because kara.foreign@gmail.com is just so fucking hard to It was a breezy, chatty little email too. Hey, how are you? I saw you got a new job. Good for you. How's your sister? Blah, blah, blah. And I could not, for the life of me, imagine what he could possibly want from me. We had been completely out of touch since the breakup, no contact whatsoever. And I kind of thought we'd be out of touch forever. So I did what I never let myself do, and I Googled him. And it became clear immediately that he had just bought a house the prior month with some woman in Bloomingdale. Yeah. I found pictures of them together, him and her in the cherry blossoms and her terrible, terrible bangs. And this was disturbing on a number of levels. Number one, when I met Adam, he could not have found Bloomingdale with a map and a fucking guide. I showed him this entire city. Number two, in his profile pic, he was wearing those glasses that I had picked out for him, and he has a beard now, and he looked really cute, and I did not really need to see that. And number three, looking at the pictures of his new girlfriend, it was pretty clear that bad bangs can really happen to anyone at any time, and we have to be constantly on our guard. And as I kept obsessively clicking through that, suddenly it dawned on me that I did know what he wanted from me. He wanted me to garden him. He wanted me to fluff his dirt a little bit, and throw him some sun, and tell him that I was okay, that he wasn't a bad person for breaking my heart and then stealing my idea of a happy life and implementing it with someone else. He wanted me to comfort him so he could go into this new chapter of his life feeling absolved and clean and worthy. So I wrote him back. Hey, I guess it's great that you bought a house with a blatantly vanilla woman that you clearly met 5 minutes after you left me, but I don't really want to know about it. You know, hearing from you does not make me happy. It makes me think about all the time I blew waiting for you to come around while my ovaries were still producing perfectly good eggs that went to waste. Of all the many, many things I wanted to be to you, your internet pen pal was never on the list, so please, please don't contact me again. And I haven't heard from him since. Postscript. I did end up buying a house by myself in Fort Totten, and ironically it cost exactly half as much as the one that Adam bought with Bang Bang. And I really thought that buying it was gonna make me happy, like I was finally hitting those adulthood landmarks, but honestly, it really threw my head for a loop. I get mad sometimes that I have to do all this stuff by myself and that there's no one to argue over paint colors with and help me build bookshelves. But I try not to be bitter. I mean, I really, really, really try. Because I know, even if I'm not where I thought I would be at 30, I'm somewhere pretty good. And I'm lucky to have my own place and have a good job and have good friends and my health and live in America, whatever they say to single people. And even if I do feel a little bit sad and lonely sometimes, because I do, I even know that I'm lucky to feel those feelings inside the borders of DC and not in godforsaken Alexandria.